A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. Who is this woman, and why is this scene so integral to the story of the apocalypse? Let's find out this week on Fridays with Phil. I'm Dr. Phil Mayo, and I'd like to share with you 5 minutes of biblical insight to help you along the way. If you enjoy the content, please be sure to subscribe. John sees two signs in this dramatic scene that represent two sides of a spiritual battle at the heart of the apocalypse. The first sign is a woman who has a crown of 12 stars on her head, the sun and moon at her feet, and who is about to give birth. There has been considerable speculation about her identity, and there are some important clues. The second sign is an enormous red dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns on its heads. The identity of the dragon is no mystery, as we are told that it is that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan who leads the whole world astray. The first clue to the identity of the woman is the crown of 12 stars on her head. In Revelation, 12 and its multiples are always symbolic of God's people. We saw this, for example, in the numbering of the 144,000 from the 12 tribes of Israel. The 12 stars here might represent the 12 tribes of Israel or the 12 apostles, who themselves represent reconstituted Israel. However, it is more likely the stars represent more broadly the universal people of God. John has consistently used allusions to the Hebrew prophets as well as Old Testament imagery for the church. His view is that Israel is now open to the nations, and therefore what used to be imagery exclusively for Israel is now used for God's people, both Jews and Gentiles. The second clue to the woman's identity is that she is about to give birth to a male child, whom the dragon tries to destroy but cannot, as the child is immediately caught up to heaven. The child is the one who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter, a messianic passage used multiple times in Revelation to identify Jesus. Chapter 12 presents a truncated version of the birth, ministry, death, and resurrection of Jesus, the result of which is the casting down of Satan to earth. Here we are getting a more detailed explanation of what we saw celebrated in the chapter 5 throne room scene. Christ's victory is celebrated here in song. Now have come the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Messiah. God protects the woman from the dragon for 1,260 days, which is reiterated at the end of the chapter with the Danielic phrase, times, time, and a half a time. The last time we saw this number was with the 2 witnesses of chapter 11. This suggests that the woman's identity, like that of the 2 witnesses, is the church. The dragon's inability to touch the woman causes him instead to go after the rest of her offspring, those who keep God's commands and hold fast their testimony about Jesus. At the outset of the chapter, the woman appears to be Mary giving birth to the Messiah. However, as the chapter progresses, she appears as Israel, whom God protects in the wilderness. And by the end of the chapter, she is the universal people of God. All of this makes sense for John as he has a unified view of God's people and God's plan. For him, there is no division between the Old and New Testaments. There is just God at work since the beginning of time. The Lamb, through his death and resurrection, has established God's kingdom on earth and has sealed Satan's fate. Satan's war against the saints is the reason for their suffering, but they overcome him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. This is the message of the apocalypse. Next week, we'll look at Satan's emissary, the beast, of chapter 13. Won't you join me? Thank you, and God bless you.